here's what I did. I left the old rotor on, and actually did this on both sides at the same time, because once one of these pistons comes out, you're not pumping them out. So I just left the old rotor on, took the brake pads out, and then pumped the brakes. Didn't turn it on or anything. I mean, maybe if you had a stuck one or something, piston, maybe turning the car on would help because of the assist, but I didn't do that. And then so now I can get the pistons the rest. I'll just take this off and take the pistons the rest of the way out. But first, before I take the old rubbers off, I'm going to go ahead and clean these up. That way they'll be protected from the dust and everything, and then I can paint them or whatever I'm going to do. I haven't decided yet, but they were quite hard to get the brakes out of, so I definitely need to clean some of it up. Here it is. I got it off the truck. I loosened the bleed valve just a little bit because I didn't know what would happen once I started just taking the line off. So I loosened this up a little bit just to see a little bit of fluid come out, make sure there's not like some kind of pressure, though it had been sitting for like a day or so with them already extended. And then I just jammed I had one of these silicone plugs. I just jammed it inside the where the line hole is, and I'm going to go ahead and start. I'm going to take a wire brush on a air tool or a drill or something and go over this and get it cleaned up as good as I can. Hey, now I knocked most of the rust off of it. It's fairly presentable. I'm going to try this coating that I have here. Is Bow Shield rust remover. See what happens. This is what it looks like. This is just with couldn't find the air one, so I used this on my drill just to get some of the stuff knocked off of it. There's the brake line. I pulled it up, and what I did is I pulled back that threaded part that goes into the caliper, just so the flared end was on there, and then all that is the tip of I just took a pair of scissors and cut off the tip of the finger of one of my nitrile gloves and grabbed a zip tie and tied it to stop it from leaking, because it was dripping, and I was like, well, what am I going to use to cover it? So that's all I did. Here's a caliper. It's not dry yet. It's just like, that's like a satin black. I just sprayed it a little bit ago, moved it over here. I just put a coat on it. I mean, basically this is pretty quick and dirty. I mean, I did use this stuff on it, which this stuff works great on like cast iron and stuff. I just sprayed it on. I leave it set for a minute or so. Don't let it dry. And if you don't think it's getting enough of it, of the rust off, then squirt it again, wait about a minute, then I just pour paint thinner on it, and then just wipe it down, and then I wiped it down with acetone, and then I sprayed it. Who knows? I mean, I used this stuff on my lathe, and this stuff was great. I mean, it was a mess. And just a minute or so, it just takes the rust right off. And then they have a Bow Shield. It's like a heavy waxy kind of stuff that you put on after you would use this stuff. But yeah, it works good. Now here's the other side. I don't know if I said it on the other side, but now I had to take my calipers off because one of my brake pads was stuck in there, so I decided to take this off and beat it out that way. But now if you can slide your brakes out, then just leave your caliper bolted up, and then go ahead and extend all these pistons. See, they're touching, and then you won't have to do all the stuff I had to do. But my brake pads were corroded and stuff. I had a hell of a time getting them out of there, so I just put the caliper back on. So you want to tighten the bolts back up, and then before you start to compress them, and then make sure you put a couple lug nuts back on your brake disc, so it's all straight and everything before you start doing that. Then what I did on the other side is I took the rubber cap off the bleed screw and turned it just to release any kind of, if there was any kind of high pressure left in there. Then go ahead and take your brake line off. Then just unbolt this and then pull it off. It should come right off. I mean, once the lines are relaxed, the pistons don't go back in, but it leaves just enough. You can get them off real easy. So no big issue trying to get the caliper off with the pistons extended. So now I got to actually you can see one right there. It's just a metal ring. You got to pry that off. I'm just going to use this little screwdriver here, and you got to just pry that ring off. It's an open-ended ring, and then you just pull it off, and then you can get the boots off. Let me do that. Actually, it was easier to use this. As you can see, it's open-ended right here. Just getting it out of there. Be careful, you don't want to touch the piston. See, they just basically come right out. Ugh, it's stuck on there. Oh, I see, it's like a key ring kind of looking thing. Anyway, this is the dust seal, and then up inside here there's like well, it's round, but it's got square edges that actually keep the brake fluid from leaking out and keep the pressure in there. And they are. That literally took like a minute to get those off. They just peeled right off. So now I will have to get the let's see how tight these are. Actually, these are coming right out. Oh, there goes the fluid. Glad I have this box here. And there is the piston, which I will clean up. These look, actually, yeah, just wipe my finger across it. There's like, I'll have to inspect them, of course, but just preliminary, they look like they're pretty nice. No scoring. Now, if they had scores in them, I'd have to probably, buy one of these or more than one. But anyway, and then here is the rubber seal. Now, showed you when I pushed these, extended these out, I just used my rotor. Now that was the old rotor. It actually didn't look like it had been worn. It hasn't lost much material. So, I mean, if you want to be safe and not, accidentally say you got a really worn rotor, I don't know how much further these could go without starting to leak, and then you wouldn't be able to get them all the way out when they're on your vehicle or on your Tundra. But I mean, I guess you could just put the new rotor on, then you could be sure. But like I said, that was a used rotor, so I think you'd be safe. I mean, because these seem to be, they're actually quite on the edge. So, but they come out real easy. I'm not using air or anything. No need to. They just come right out. So I didn't know if this would work. I didn't see anybody do this on YouTube. There could be thousands of people doing it. I don't know. I didn't see it. I didn't run across it. Then again, I was just looking for like Tundra brake repairs. So I just thought about it because people were like putting like a brake pads in here or something, and then doing it maybe usually on the desk or something, or on the bench. And I was like, well, why don't I just use the hydraulic pressure of the brake pedal and push them out, you know. So I tried it and it works great on this vehicle. I don't know what it'd be like on other cars. Oh yeah, note, this makes a mess. Don't do what I did. Get like a shallow, like one of those disposable aluminum baking sheet pans or something, or you know, something else, and do it outside, maybe in an oil, the thing, drain pan or something. Now I did have a little issue trying to get this out. I couldn't just pull it out like I've been pulling these out. Look, almost looks fake. It's so simple to get them out. This was the last one to get out, and I couldn't just pull it out with my fingers. So I have a little piece of leather I wrapped around here, and then I use these just to, you know, you don't want to grab up here. Grab, you know, just on this outer edge like this. And like I said, I just grabbed put a little piece of leather around there. You could use some kind of rubber or something. I don't even know if it's how critical it is. I guess it depends on how much you're going to wrench on it. But yeah, and then I just moved it like that a little bit, and it came right out. So it was super easy. I just couldn't do it with my fingers. I just did one. It was super quick. You can see these things. Oops, you don't want to drop these. Anyway, I just wiped them off. I mean, with my fingers, you know, a little bit of scrubbing in there. I guess you could use like a little popsicle stick or something. Anything that's like not as hard as this, you know, as hard as the metal, it would, you could get it off. Anyway, pretty simple. This one is, oh Jesus. You know what? I'm gonna have to hold on to that a little bit better. Last thing I want to do is drop that on the floor and get a big scratch in it. Then I'd be in trouble. Anyway, as you can see, I'm just using a little paper towel and using basically the residual brake fluid that's left on here. Just giving it a once over, and then I'll clean them a little bit better with something else. Okay, now I got them all cleaned up. I started using these shop towels. This is better. These work better. But yeah, they're nice. So I'm just gonna go around this outer edge just gently, just to get any crud out of this little crease here where the dust seal goes. Then I'll probably just take some brake cleaner or something. Actually, not much to this, so anyway, you want to get that cleaned up before you put the stuff back together. That way that boot will stick in that recess nice and positive. Then I'm going to clean this up on this edge, this outer edge. Maybe I'll just rub it on some 2000 grit just to get the, you know, I think it might wipe off, but I'll try. Or else I'll just set it on something flat and just gently rub it over some 2000 grit or something just to get the rest of whatever I can't get off of there. Which, honestly, I might be able to just wipe off with some, maybe I'll just use some 3M General wax and grease remover, because I mean I'm gonna wipe them all down before I put them back together, or they'll be dry, so no issue with that. Alright, what I actually ended up doing is I just want to take any kind of, you know what I mean, if there's anything on the surface here so it won't sit flat on the pad, I just wanted to give it a light. This is actually some 800, so it works. I mean, you're just trying to get any kind of burrs off there or anything so it sits flat. And mean, it doesn't look that great, but I can't feel anything, so should be good. Just so it's nice and flat on the pad. Okay, so I drained these out, you know, and I just squirted a little bit of brake cleaner in there to get some of the, you know, primary junk out of there. And I got this little bamboo skewer. You probably use a metal thing, but I don't want to risk scratching anything, so these are like, you know, what you make a shish kebab with. I just happen to have some of these laying around, and you just pull this thing out of there. Now, I've never done any of this stuff before, but you know, just watching videos and whatnot, so believe me, I'm no pro. But so, you know, you do this in your own risk. If you're gonna try this, this is just showing how I did it. Right or wrong, don't know. And then what I'll do is I'll clean this out, some brake fluid or brake cleaner, and you know, you want to let it dry real good. You know, you don't want that cleaner dries pretty fast. So I see a lot of people, they use other stuff, but so I'll do that, and then I'll probably run a little bit of 800 around this outer edge if I can't get just perfectly clean. It doesn't really, I don't think it matters too much out here, other than you don't want a bunch of, you know, because it could seize up on this collar. So I guess you'd want to get this as clean as possible, I imagine. So I will try that. Let's see what it looks like here. Just rub it on it a little bit. Yeah, so it looks like I'm not going to have to bother with that, but that should be just a little bit of rubbing. I should be able to get it clean enough, and then get whatever residual little pieces of rubber or whatever that black stuff is. I assume it's the rubber seals breaking down a little bit, and then I'll bring you back when I'm going to start putting the seals back in. So I went outside and squirted again with some brake cleaner up inside here, and basically, I mean, I would say the most important part would be getting these grooves where the actual seal that does all the brake fluid holding and the, you know, allows it to build up the pressure in here. You need to get this groove as spotless, you know, as you can. I mean, if there's corrosion in there, then, you know, that rubber seal is going to leak. So I don't know what you'd do if there's corrosion in there. Probably just throw them away. I mean, because otherwise, if this is not nice and silver and all perfectly level in there, then it's just not gonna work. I don't know how it could. So it needs to be all like looking like new inside here. Make sure you get every bit of dirt out of there, or anything that's in there, any kind of rubber or anything. Make sure it's perfectly clean metal, and before you go putting the seal back in. Like I said, I'm just using the stick. I just broke it off. It's more square on the back, and using this little shop rag and jamming it down into the slot. And what I can't get out with that, if I can't get it, I'll just flip it over and use the pointy part and just kind of, you know, like that, and then wipe it out. And they're coming perfectly clean. So, but I just wanted to, just something I observed when I was doing it, thinking about it. I noticed on these, this might be like that on every one, but there's a little score line down the center of each one of these grooves. So I'm just using that stick again, these little bamboo skewers, to clean that out. And then the part that you can't get to really, on this side of the groove, I mean, you want to pay attention to that. You want to make sure you get that so I just broke the stick off so I can get my fingers inside of here, so I can get that back inside that little groove on this side, because this way is easy to do. You know, you're cleaning it just with the point here like that, but you can't see what's up in the front side of this. So I'm just cleaning it out. If I feel anything, I scrub on it, which I haven't felt anything, but I'm going around them all real good to get the outside of the seal is seated as well, real nice. So just pay attention to that. Just don't clean out what you can see, because you know the front parts, you want it seated all along the bottom and the front and the back, everything real well. Otherwise it'd probably be a pain putting these cups back in, and it probably could leak, which would totally defeat the point of doing all this work. I got it all cleaned up here. Looks pretty good. Just got to wipe it out, final wipe out. I actually blew some air through the, where the brake line goes, and then I took the bleeder out, made sure it was clear, could blow through it. The kit, here's the kit. It's this is the one I'm using. Carlson 15327. I think it was this was like $5.50 from Rock Auto. And what's in it is, you can see the seals, dust seal, the main seal, and the new metal things to keep the dust seal on. And I see there is a little hat in there. It's a hat, I guess, for the bleeder valve. And mine actually came with a hat for the bleeder that fits on there. I just tried it. And then this extra little washer. Now, I didn't pull a washer like that off of here, so I assume it goes here. I mean, it seems to fit, but obviously mine didn't have that. I don't know why it would go there. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. So I'm going to just go ahead and start putting these, see there, I think these are called square edge seals. They go in either way. They're just, squared off, and they fit right down inside there. So I'll just put a little brake fluid on here. I know people use assembly lube. This kit didn't come with any, and as soon as I assemble it, I'm going to put it on the truck. So I get the brake fluid is hydroscopic, I guess that's what it's called. It absorbs the water in the system, but a lot of people just use brake fluid. Some people use a special pink grease, but I mean, I get why they use it. I guess it's easier to put them together. I don't know, we'll see. But obviously, if Toyota has like brand new these sitting on the shelf, they're using that pink grease for a reason. Probably so it must not absorb any kind of moisture. So if you got a brake caliper sitting on the shelf for a year, you wouldn't want to use brake fluid, because it would absorb a lot of water, I would guess. Anyway, that's just what I'm doing. And there one is. I didn't do it on camera. I mean, you just stick it in there and it doesn't seem like it's gonna fit, and then it'll just finally snap right in there, down into the groove. Just make sure it's in there. And let's see, maybe I can do one on camera here. Let's see, I don't know how. I'm just putting a little brake fluid on here, on the edge of it, and on the sides where it seats. Let's see. I need to get it on the top yet, because I'm not. So just put my fingers in there and push it down in there. Just go gently around it. Let's see. Just really get anything wrong. And then get it all seated. Feed it in there. Gently push it in. Bang. Just kind of snaps right in. So that's it for that. Now I decided to put this seal on beforehand. As you can see, this is the outside of it. there's like little numbers or something on here. This goes to the outside according to the way my other ones looked. And I actually put them on. Here, I'll show you how I did it. Make sure I was putting them on right. So flat side, this little flat edge with the numbers goes out, but I put them on this way because there's like a flat here, and that you want to put that down inside there, and it seemed like it was going to be harder to try to tuck it in there. I tried it, and it was getting flipped over and stuff. So I figured what I'll do is I'll just slide this up, I mean, just gently, and it should just fall right in there. It'd be a lot better. So we'll see how it works. Yeah, that worked better. I just creeped it up with the edge of my fingers, and then it just falls right into place, and it's not all flipped upside down and whatnot. And as you can see, it turns nicely, so you know it's down inside that groove. It's not trying to climb out of there or anything. So should be good. Okay, I got one in. It took me a while because I wasn't doing it right. And basically put them on the pistons after you push the piston in a little bit. It's easier. Like put the piston in and just go ahead. It's super easy to get in. I was putting it on backwards. Like I was trying to put these little bumps, these little numbers this way. That's not the right way. Just go by this. See this little flare here? There's a little flare on the back of this seal here. Well, that tells you that it goes on like that. Like I'd put this one here because that ring goes up against that. Otherwise, it wouldn't work. So as I looked at my old ones, because I still had enough intact to do it, and there's like a raised, hopefully you can see that. It's just on the back of here. It's raised up. It goes back, straight back and then out. That would go on there like that, and then the ring goes on there, so it don't slip off that way. When you're pushing it on, it pushes it back into the crack there. So that's that. Okay, so this is how I've been doing them. You know, learn as you go, I guess. I push it in to about there. I lube first. I lube it up inside there with brake fluid, and then I lube this, and then I'll, just start the cylinder in. You just kind of, just easy, just walking in, and then it should go, fairly easy. There's resistance, and then leave this groove out, and then just spin this on, just like this. Just go ahead and put it on, and then once you get it in this groove, then push it back flush, then put the seal ring on there, because then it's back far enough. You're not fighting it. So I got it in the groove. Now what I'll do is I just spin it around just to make sure it's in there, like that. I'm feeding it with my bottom fingers and my top fingers just to make sure it's in that groove. Then go ahead and push it back in. Now it went in pretty easy. I just can't get enough leverage here. This actually was going in pretty easy, so it should be fine. Yeah, I mean, it just takes a tiny bit of pressure here. I'm just turning this real easy. Now I'll push it back so I can get this back seal on here easier. It's a pain. So there, I get that. Then I'll just push that up, feed it around the edge like that. Make sure you got it all back there. You'll be able to see, because that little lip will be sticking out flat. Then you grab one of these things here. Oh, geez. Grab one of these and then just pull it out, put it over the bottom, get the bottom out, And they'll be separated at the top like this. You'll know. And that's it. Then I'll go around just gently. I don't want to mess it up, you know what I'm saying? Just to make sure it's all the way back. I'll go with the bottom here. Make sure it's all the way back. Yeah, see, that one wasn't. So, good I did that. And then that's it. Now I gotta put my last one in. I'm trying to keep it as clean as you can now. I'm getting a little dirty, but that's just on the bottom there. I mean on the paper. I got this on. Make sure you get this front edge. And then I got up in there already. And I'm just kind of walking this in there just gently, just to get it started. I'll try to put it on camera here. See, it just kind of goes right in there. I don't want to push it too far. I did that on one of them. I'll push it to there. Just once you can get it started, you know, it's sticking out, go ahead and put, so you can put that dust shield on there. And that's about it. I mean, I'm not going to show you how to bleed your brakes or put brakes on or anything like that. I was just wanting to do the caliper part and show you what I did, because there's a million brake changes on there. Anyway, hope you liked watching. I mean, you know, I'm not an expert, obviously. You know, if you want to do this, do it at your own risk. I'm just showing you how I did it and the difficulties I ran into. It's just, you know, first time kind of thing. Just make sure you have everything super clean. I think that's the most important thing. And don't score anything. Or don't put them when you're cleaning stuff. Make sure you're mindful of any big scratches. You know, it's not going to work. You'd have to buy a new piston or something. So, or any corrosion in there. Just make sure everything's nice and clean. Well, thanks for watching.